Delighted to next introduce Jerry Zezula, who is a veterinarian and retired professor of applied animal science at the University of New Hampshire. And for 30 years, she was a campus expert on all things having to do with cats, and like all vets, also dogs. Nearly as many years through ElderPet, a nonprofit service organization, she's helped senior citizens, owners with pet behavioral and health problems. But she's coming today to talk to us about the unique ways in which cats live in our culture now. Jerry Zezula.
Good morning. Thanks for inviting me. So let's look at the current cat lifestyles. And this is strictly from the human perspective. As we look at cats, this is the way they live. Okay, we have our feral and stray population. Those may be actual strays that have had kittens in the second and third generation turns into ferals. That may be just a dump-off spot where people think, well, I don't want this cat. These people love cats, and they leave them near communities, or they might be summer places where people get kittens at the beginning of the summer and then leave them at the end of the year. So we have a contingency of feral and stray populations of cats. We have outdoor-owned cats. These would be like your barn cats, your cats that are kept in stores to control rodents. They are owned, but they live pretty much outside or in unheated buildings. We have your indoor-outdoor cats, where they're allowed to come in, they socialize with the family, but they also are allowed to go out. And you have quite a range of outdoor facilities for these cats. Some are just, people just open the door and let them out. I had one cat that actually, I had dogs, and I had a dog door, which was actually one of those spring-loaded dog doors. And I had what I thought was an indoor cat, but she didn't want to be an indoor cat. She actually trained the dog to go to the door, stand in the door, so she could go out. This particular picture I found, and as you can see, they have little cat doors in their windows and a little series of steps so the cat can go in and out at will. Some people now actually have enclosures, fenced-in enclosures for their cats that they can go in and out. And then we have our indoor-only cats that we find in apartments and houses, and they're just live inside entirely and don't go outside. Or if they do go outside, they might be in one of those little carriages with the cage on it. Okay, so to try to compare the lifestyles of these four categories, I want to look at the human contact, the cost of the cats to the humans, what they may or may not see for veterinary care, if there's any laws related to cats in this particular lifestyle, the quality of care that they might receive from their owners, and what their lifespan might be. Okay, so if we look at ferals and strays, in most cases there's very rare human contact. If there is human contact, it's usually involved with feeding. Okay, and that could be in a managed colony, or it could be somebody that adopts a stray and they leave out food on the porch or something like that. Obviously, the cost of these cats is zero for humans. Pretty much no veterinary care unless they're part of a managed colony, in which case they've been trapped at least once, usually neutered, perhaps given vaccines. Some colonies do trap them periodically to update the rabies vaccines depending on where they are. There's no laws for the benefit of these cats at all, but the laws that do affect them are usually nuisance laws. So oftentimes they are trapped, taken to a shelter, or trapped and euthanized, depending on who's doing the trapping. The quality of care is none to low, and their lifespan is usually pretty short, usually less than 2 years. Okay, your outdoor-only cat, again, they have sporadic human contact. Some are pretty attracted to humans, so they get more attention. But usually it's associated with feeding. Okay, usually the cost of barn cats is zero, although some rescue agencies now have barn cat programs, and there may be a small adoption fee for those. Because they are owned, oftentimes they are neutered. If the state or the community requires rabies vaccines, they usually do have rabies vaccines because they come in contact with humans more frequently. And I already mentioned the barn cat programs, and if they're adopted into this program, they usually are neutered, vaccinated, and there may be a contract with the agency that they have the program with. Enforcement laws, again, or laws that look out for these animals, none, or if they require rabies vaccines, they may have to have rabies vaccines by law. Quality of care is usually fairly low because they're not in constant contact with humans, and so they don't get as much care as other cats. And they live a little bit longer, usually 2 to 5 years. Then we have our indoor-outdoor cats. These cats have regular human contact. They're usually allowed to come into the house on a regular basis, may still sleep with the owners, react with the family, have pet dogs that they talk with or communicate with. Their outdoor activity may be highly controlled, or they may just go out and come back at will. Cost can be, again, zero, or there may be an adoption fee for this cat. Usually they tend to come from shelters because I tend to find that people that have purebred cats, they're indoor only for the most part. These cats are usually neutered. They usually have had rabies vaccines. They're frequently seen by veterinarians when they're ill. And usually the owners do provide flea control for these cats because they're coming in and out and they don't want to deal with it with their other animals or themselves. Enforcement laws for these cats would be, again, none, depending on the community. They may have required rabies vaccines, or in some towns, in some states now, I know in New Hampshire, if a stray cat is brought in and it has an ID, it has to be kept longer than a cat with no ID. So sometimes these cats have a little more privilege because they have an owner, they're a little bit more cared for, they have some kind of ID. Quality of care, quite variable from low to good. Again, the cats are coming in, there's more human contact. Usually there's more attention paid to them. And their lifespan tends to go from 5 to 10 years of age. Okay, the indoor cats, they have frequent, constant contact with humans for the most part. The cost, again, can be zero to an adoption fee to a very high price, because here we're beginning to talk about your purebred cats, and you may be talking about breeders and catteries as well. These are the most likely to have regular veterinary care, although for some reason cat care seems to lapse in the middle lifespan of the cat. Everybody's really good about getting that kitten into the vet, getting it spayed and neutered, getting the first vaccines, and then they just don't go until they have a problem. Although some are pretty good, if they get that reminder, they come trudging in and bring the cat in every year for wellness exams. Again, depending on the laws of the state, the only law related to cats may be required rabies vaccines. Quality of care tends to be moderate to very good. This is where you find your current cat worshippers, people that dote on their cats, and they probably have excellent care. And some of those owners tend to be a little paranoid sometimes. The cat hiccups and they bring it in. These cats are living a very long time. We see them living now from 10 to 20 years of age. And so we're getting some very, very geriatric and elderly cats in the population of indoor cats, indoor-only cats. Okay, let's just take a look at some interesting statistics to put on top of that information. And you've already seen this one. There's 74 million pet cats compared to 70 million pet dogs. There are estimates that cat strays and ferals can be up to 70 million. So we have almost as many strays and ferals as we do pets that are claimed by owners. Less than 2% of stray cats in shelters are returned to owners. My question is, are they looking for them? In many cases, they're not. The shelters end up being the dump-off place, or they're brought into the shelters because they've been left in the community. Approximately 10% of the stray animals received by shelters are neutered. 88% of owned cats are neutered. So again, how long were these strays owned, or were they ever owned? The incidence of breed-predisposed genetic diseases is increasing in cats. We saw a nice chart about all the hereditary diseases in purebred cats. The recognition and the incidence of those diseases is increasing. 27% of cat owners visit a veterinarian only when the animal is sick. Okay, that's 20 million cats that only see a veterinarian when they're sick, if they're lucky. Cat owners spend $7.4 billion on their cats. Dog owners spend $19 billion. So cats are kind of, even though they're number one in population for pets, they're second-class citizens as far as at least the amount of money that owners spend on cats. 56% of owners say their cats are family members. 66% of dog owners say they're family members. So again, even though they're higher in population, they're not perceived as family members as frequently as dogs. Cats can spread many zoonotic diseases through various routes of infection. There's actually more zoonotic diseases that a cat can spread than a dog. And many of those zoonotic diseases are transmitted from environments that are contaminated by ferals and strays. Okay, now comes the questions that I can't answer, but may be answered throughout the rest of this symposium. If cats are to be valued as pets, why do shelters give discount adoptions, promote the fact that cats are cheaper to spay and neuter and care for than dogs, and encourage people adopting cats in pairs? Okay, it's just a question. Why are most feline behavior problems associated with only indoor cats? Why do many shelters require adopted cats to be kept indoors, then get upset when a cat is returned because of behavior problems or chronic costly health issues? Why is the incidence of chronic diseases increasing in indoor older cats? These diseases are hyperthyroid, diabetes, tooth reabsorption, renal disease, metabolic disease, obesity, vaccine-associated sarcomas. Why are we seeing an incidence of these in the indoor-only cats higher than cats kept in other ways? Do owners know how to evaluate stress or disease in cats? Do cats hide illness well? Do owners know that keeping cats indoors requires more than simply feeding and providing a litter box? How much does environmental stress contribute to disease? Is a long life inherently better than a short life? Are cats as a species truly domesticated? And this is going to depend on your definition of domestication, and there are some people say they never really did get to that third stage. And do they require human interactions for species survival? And what human needs are realistically fulfilled by cats? Why were cats domesticated? And where are cats in our lifestyle now? What context are we looking at cats now? So what does the cat want or need? What's the what does it need for quality of life? Can and will humans provide it? Okay, so this is where I got my references. As I said, I don't have answers to any of those questions, but I know some of the speakers will be addressing some of the same issues, and maybe it'll give you a little bit different perspective related to cats by the time we get through.